Lady Elara Vane. Learned the taste of humiliation beneath a chandelier of diamonds. It happened before the whole court. Lord Cedric Vale, heir to one of the richest houses in Valmer, lifted his silver goblet, laughed loudly, and pointed at her as though she were a cracked plate at market. "Take the plain one," he said to his younger brother. "I have no use for her." The music stopped. Elara stood beside her stepsister, Lady Maribel, whose golden curls and rose-colored gown had already stolen half the room's breath. Maribel lowered her eyes, pretending pity, though the corner of her mouth betrayed delight. Elara did not cry. She had learned long ago that tears were expensive, and her family had already spent everything she owned. The grand hall of Thornwick Palace glittered with nobles, ambassadors, princes, and hungry matchmakers. Tonight was the royal betrothal gathering, where unmarried daughters of noble houses were displayed like silk ribbons before men who measured worth in beauty, dowries, and bloodlines. Elara had none of the first two. Her father, the late Baron Vane, had died under suspicious circumstances 3 winters ago, leaving behind debts, a sealed black journal, and a daughter who asked too many questions. Her stepmother, Baroness Elara, had burned most of his letters. One remained hidden beneath the lining of Elara's old prayer book. A letter written in her father's shaking hand: "Trust no Vale. If the Duke of Ravenscar returns, give him the sapphire seal. He will know." Elara had never met the Duke of Ravenscar. No one had seen him clearly in years. Some said Duke Cassian Morcant was scarred from war. Some said he was cursed. Others whispered he had once been promised to a princess who vanished before their wedding, leaving only blood on the chapel steps. But tonight, the Duke was expected at court. That was the only reason. Elara had agreed to come, not for marriage, not for admiration, for answers. Lord Cedric's laughter still rang in her ears when the Queen's Chamberlain announced the final arrival: His Grace Cassian Morcant, Duke of Ravenscar. The doors opened. A cold wind swept through the hall, bending the candle flames. The Duke entered alone. He wore black velvet without jewels, as if wealth had grown boring to him. His dark hair brushed his collar, and a thin scar crossed one cheek, not ruining his face but sharpening it. His eyes moved across the room slowly, like a man reading lies. Every noble bowed. Cedric bowed deepest. Ella curtsied with the rest. But when she lifted her gaze, she found the Duke looking directly at her, not at Maribel, not at the princesses, at her. Her breath caught. Baroness Elara noticed and dug sharp fingers into Elara's wrist. "Do not stare above your station." But the Duke was already walking toward them. Cedric smiled, assuming the Duke meant to greet Maribel. Maribel lifted her chin and arranged her face into practiced sweetness. Duke Cassian stopped before Elara. "Lady Elara Vane," he said. The hall stirred. No one had introduced her. Elara's heart hammered. "Your Grace." He looked toward Cedric with terrifying calm. "I believe Lord Vale has no use for you." Cedric laughed uncertainly. "A harmless jest, Your Grace." "Then, allow me a serious answer." The Duke turned back to Elara. "I choose her." The words fell like thunder. Baroness Elara went pale. Maribel's smile died. Cedric's goblet slipped slightly in his hand. Elara stared at the Duke. Unable to speak, the Queen herself leaned forward from her throne. "Your Grace, you mean to court Lady Elara?" "No, Your Majesty," Cassian replied. A heavier silence followed. "I mean to marry her." Gasps broke across the hall. Elara felt the floor tilt beneath her. Marriage? To a stranger? To the very man named in her father's secret letter? Baroness Elara recovered first. "Your Grace, this is most generous, but Lady Elara is not prepared for such honor. My daughter Maribel is better suited. I did not ask for Maribel." The Duke's voice was soft, but the Baroness stopped as if struck. The Queen studied Elara with interest. "Lady Elara, do you consent to be considered?" Elara knew every eye waited for her to faint, blush, or accept like a grateful beggar. Instead, she looked at the Duke and said, "May I ask why?" A murmur passed through the nobles. A plain girl questioning a Duke was almost a scandal by itself, but Cassian's eyes warmed. "Just slightly, because your father saved my life," he said. Elara's chest tightened. "My father?" "And because before he died, he sent me a letter." Baroness Elara's grip vanished from Elara's wrist. There it was. Fear. Elara saw it clearly. The Duke saw it too. Cedric stepped forward quickly. "Your Grace, forgive me, but Baron Vane died owing money to my house. Any arrangement involving his daughter should be discussed with the men who profited from his death." Cassian asked. The entire hall froze. Cedric's face hardened. "That is a grave accusation. It was meant to be." The Queen rose. "Enough. This is not a trial chamber." "Not yet," the Duke said. Elara felt the hidden letter beneath her glove, folded small against her palm. She had planned to slip away and search for Ravenscar's steward. She had not expected the Duke himself to claim her before half the kingdom. Maribel leaned close and whispered, "Do not be fooled. Men like him do not choose girls like you unless they need a sacrifice." Lara's blood chilled, because that was exactly what she feared. The Duke offered his arm. "Walk with me, Lady Elara." She hesitated. Then, before fear could command her, she placed her hand on his sleeve. The hall watched them cross toward the moonlit balcony. Outside, snow drifted over the palace gardens. Music resumed behind them, weaker now, like a lie trying to survive. Elara withdrew her hand. "If you knew my father, tell me how he died." Cassian's expression darkened. Not by fever, as the court was told. Her throat tightened. "I knew it. He discovered a conspiracy tied to the royal succession. A missing princess. Forged marriage contracts. Secret debts binding noble houses to Lord Vale Cedric. Cedric is vain. His father is dangerous." Elara unfolded the hidden letter with trembling fingers. "Then you know about this?" Cassian looked at the sapphire seal drawn at the bottom, and for the first time his composure cracked. "Where is the real seal?" Elara frowned. "Real seal?" Before he could answer, a scream tore through the hall behind them. They rushed back inside. A palace guard lay near the musicians' gallery, bleeding from the shoulder but alive. In his hand was a black feathered barrow. Pinned to the wall above him was a note. The Queen's Chamberlain read it aloud with shaking lips. "The plain girl carries the dead baron's secret. Wed her, Duke, and she dies before dawn." The nobles erupted in panic. Baroness Elara clutched Maribel protectively, but her eyes went not to Elara's face. They went to Elara's glove. Cassian stepped in front of Elara like a shield. Then he lowered his voice, so only she could hear. "Your father did not merely leave you a secret." "Lady Elara," Elara whispered. "What did he leave?" The Duke looked toward the palace doors, where someone in the crowd had already vanished. A throne. The word echoed inside Elara's mind long after the frightened nobles had abandoned the ballroom. A throne. She stared at Duke Cassian, searching his face for any sign that he spoke in metaphor. "I do not understand." "I know," he answered quietly. "That is exactly why your father tried to keep you hidden." Royal guards rushed through Thornwick Palace, sealing every entrance. Servants extinguished unnecessary candles while physicians treated the wounded guard. Somewhere in the corridors, frightened ladies whispered that an assassin had entered the Queen's own celebration. Cassian guided Elara into a small library overlooking the snow-covered gardens. The heavy oak door closed behind them. "For now," he said. "No one enters without my permission." Lara turned toward him. "You owe me the truth, and you shall have it." He walked to the fireplace, where flames painted long shadows across ancient portraits 24 years ago. King Aldric's younger sister gave birth to a daughter. The princess who disappeared? Yes, the entire kingdom believed she died. They were meant to. Elara felt her pulse quicken. Cassian continued. "The child vanished the night rebels attacked the royal carriage. Officially, no body was recovered because the river carried it away. But that was a lie? The attack was real. The death was not." Silence settled between them. "My father," Elara whispered. "Your father rescued the infant." Her breath caught. "He carried her away before the assassins could find her." Elara struggled to understand. "You mean?" "Yes. Missing princess survived." Cassian nodded. 4 years, only 3 people knew the child's true identity. "My father?" "Your father? The Queen?" She suspected. "And the third?" Cassian's expression became unreadable. "My own father." Elara frowned. "Then why hide her?" "Because whoever controlled the princess controlled the future crown." Outside, church bells rang through the winter night. Elara slowly unfolded the worn letter again. "My father wrote that I should give you the sapphire seal. The seal proves he served the royal family faithfully." "You asked where the real seal was." "Because what you carry is only the drawing." Lara examined the faded ink. "I never noticed. The true sapphire seal was never inside the letter then. Where is it?" Cassian looked directly into her eyes. "That is what our enemies believe, you know." A cold realization swept over her. The message in the ballroom. "They are hunting you." Before either could speak again, someone knocked urgently. "My lord," came the voice of Cassian's captain. "We found another body." Cassian opened the door. "A servant." "No. Who?" "Lord Cedric's personal secretary." The captain lowered his voice. "Murdered." Minutes later, they entered a narrow service corridor. Behind the palace kitchens, the dead man lay beside overturned barrels. There was almost no blood, only a tiny puncture beneath his ear, a poisoned needle. Cassian murmured. The captain handed him a folded parchment, recovered from the victim's coat. Cassian read it once. Then again, his expression hardened. "What does it say?" Elara asked. He hesitated only a moment before handing it to her. The message contained just 6 words the Duke must never reach. Ravenscar beneath the sentence appeared a familiar symbol, a silver wolf. Elara recognized it instantly. That crest. "Yes, I have seen it before. Where?" She closed her eyes, forcing herself to remember. "My father's journal." Cassian looked sharply toward her. "You still have it?" "No, my stepmother burned it. Are you certain?" "I watched the fire myself, but there was 1 page missing." Cassian's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps your father removed it and hid it?" "Exactly." Before they could continue, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Lord Cedric appeared with 2 royal officers. "My deepest condolences," Cedric said smoothly, glancing at the dead secretary. "What a dreadful tragedy." Cassian watched him without expression. "You knew this man well. For years. And yet he carried instructions against me." Cedric smiled politely. "I haven't the faintest idea what you mean." Cassian produced the parchment. Cedric read it. His face never changed. "A forgery? Convenient."
Yeah.
"Could say the same." The tension between the 2 noblemen became almost unbearable. Finally, Cedric bowed. "Queen requests your presence immediately." Left as calmly as he had arrived. Only, after he disappeared, did Cassian whisper, "He is lying. You're certain?" He dismissed his oldest servant without asking how he died. Lara realized he was right. Not once had Cedric looked at the body, only at the note hours later. The Queen assembled a private council present. "We're only 6 people. The Queen, Prince Adrian, Duke Cassian, Lady Elara, Lord Cedric, and Baroness Elara." The Queen rose. "An assassin entered my palace tonight." Her voice carried the authority of decades until this matter is resolved. "No one leaves." Cedric objected immediately. "My estates require my attention. They can wait." The Queen turned toward Elara. "Lady Vane." "Yes, Your Majesty. His Grace has informed me that your late father entrusted him with certain responsibilities." "Yes. Do you trust the Duke?" Every eye turned toward her. She barely knew the man, yet in a single evening he had defended her when no one else had. "I believe," she answered carefully, "that he is telling me more truth than anyone else." Has the Queen nodded slowly. A wise answer. Then she revealed something that stunned everyone. "Lady Elara will remain under royal protection." Cedric's jaw tightened. She'll also travel to Ravenscar Castle under the Duke's escort." Baroness Elara immediately protested. "She is my stepdaughter." "She is also the target of an assassin," the Queen replied. "My decision is final." The meeting ended shortly afterward as dawn approached. Cassian prepared to leave with a small escort. Snow covered the roads leading north. Elara packed little beyond her father's letter and a silver necklace that had belonged to her mother as she stepped into the palace courtyard. Maribel suddenly hurried toward her. "Elara." She sounded frightened, not jealous. Genuinely frightened. "I shouldn't tell you this." "Tell me what?" Maribel glanced around to ensure they were alone. "Last month, I overheard Mother speaking with Lord Vale." Lara's heartbeat quickened. "They mentioned a child." "What child?" "I couldn't hear everything. What did you hear?" Maribel swallowed. "Mother said she must never discover she was exchanged in the cradle." Elara felt the world stop. "Exchanged." Maribel nodded, tears filling her eyes. "I don't know what it means." Cassian stepped closer. "It means," he said grimly, "someone changed the identity of a newborn 24 years ago." Lara looked from Maribel to the Duke. A terrible possibility formed in her mind. If another child took the princess's place, Cassian finished the sentence. Then somewhere, the real daughter of Baron Vane may still be alive. At that exact moment, a lone rider burst through the palace gates. His horse collapsed from exhaustion. The messenger stumbled forward, carrying a blood-stained banner from Ravenscar Castle. "My lord." He could barely breathe. "Ravenscar has fallen." Cassian froze. "To whom?" The messenger looked directly at Elara. "They came searching for the lady." Then he collapsed unconscious into the snow. For the first time since meeting the Duke, Elara understood that this was no longer a journey toward answers. It had become a race against people willing to destroy an entire duchy to capture one seemingly ordinary young woman. The morning sky was the color of steel as Duke Cassian and Lady Elara rode toward Ravenscar. Behind them, the Queen had ordered additional soldiers to follow, but Cassian knew they would arrive too late if the enemy already occupied his fortress. The exhausted messenger recovered enough to explain what had happened. A band of armed men carrying no banners had attacked Ravenscar Castle before dawn. They had not looted the treasury or harmed the villagers. Instead, they searched every chamber, every cellar, and every locked room. They kept asking for one thing, the messenger whispered. What? Elara asked. The sapphire seal? Cassian exchanged a meaningful glance with Elara. So it was never about the throne alone, he said quietly. Without the seal, no one can prove the hidden succession. After 2 days of hard travel, the towers of Ravenscar finally appeared above the snow-covered hills. Smoke drifted from damaged walls. The great gate hung broken from its hinges. Inside, loyal servants were already rebuilding what they could. Cassian's oldest steward, Sir Roland, hurried forward. My lord, you survived. Barely. Roland bowed respectfully to Elara before leading them into the great hall. They searched everywhere, he explained, but they never found what they wanted. Cassian turned toward Elara because it was never here. Roland looked confused. My lord. Cassian smiled faintly. I finally understand your father's plan. Elara frowned. What do you mean? Your father never intended to hide the sapphire seal inside a castle. He pointed gently toward the silver necklace around her neck. The answer has been with you all along. Lara instinctively touched the necklace her mother had worn. It cannot be. Cassian carefully examined the pendant. Its sapphire appeared ordinary, but around its edge were tiny scratches that formed a nearly invisible pattern, a locking mechanism. With great care, he pressed the stone. A soft click echoed. The pendant opened. Hidden inside rested a tiny sapphire crest engraved with the royal lion. Everyone in the hall fell silent. Sir Roland slowly knelt. My lady. Cassian accepted the seal with both hands. This is the true royal seal. Lara stared in disbelief. My mother carried it all these years. She protected it until her death. And my father hid it where no thief would think to search. Before anyone could celebrate, a trumpet sounded outside. A soldier rushed into the hall. My lord. What is it? Lord Cedric has arrived. Cassian's expression darkened. With how many men? Nearly three. The great doors opened. Cedric entered in polished armor, followed by armed knights. His pleasant smile had disappeared. You have something that belongs to me, he declared. Cassian stepped forward. It never belonged to you. Cedric laughed. Once the queen dies, the kingdom will need certainty. It will need truth. Cassian answered. Cedric's eyes settled on Elara. You have caused remarkable trouble for someone everyone called ordinary. Lara met his gaze without fear. My father taught me that truth survives longer than lies, Cedric sighed. I hoped you would surrender peacefully. He raised one hand. His soldiers drew their swords. Cassian's men answered instantly. The great hall became a battlefield. Steel clashed against steel. Cassian fought with calm precision, defending the entrance while Roland led Elara through a hidden passage. Keep moving, Roland urged. But halfway down the corridor, Baroness Elara stepped from the shadows. She held a small pistol. So, she said bitterly, your father should have finished this 24 years ago. Lara froze. You knew? I knew everything. Tears filled the older woman's eyes, though no regret appeared in them. The child in my arms was never meant to inherit anything. You switched the babies, yes? Why? For my husband. Elara stared. My husband owed enormous debts to Lord Vale's father. They offered freedom in exchange for one simple task. It's exchanged too. Infants? Baroness Elara nodded. The princess disappeared and another child took her place. My own daughter? Elara suddenly understood. Maribel. She is Baron Vane's true daughter. The revelation struck like lightning. So you were raised as his daughter because everyone believed you were the lost child. Elara struggled to breathe. My entire life was built upon a lie. Baroness Elara lowered the pistol slightly. I never hated you. Then why? Because if anyone discovered the truth, both girls would die. Shout echoed through the corridor. Cassian had arrived. Elara. She turned toward him in that single instant. Another figure appeared behind her. Lord Cedric, you have failed me, he said coldly, before anyone could react. Cedric drew a hidden dagger. He drove it into Baroness Elara's back. She collapsed. Cedric barely looked at her. To me, loyalty lasts only while it remains useful. Cassian lunged. The two men fought fiercely through the narrow corridor. Cedric was skilled, but years of pride had weakened him. Cassian disarmed him with one decisive strike. The dagger slid across the stone floor. Royal soldiers burst into the passage moments later, surrounding the remaining conspirators. Cedric finally dropped to his knees. It was supposed to be simple, he muttered. One missing child, one forgotten family, one obedient kingdom. Instead, every lie had returned to claim him. Days later, the conspirators stood trial before the queen. The hidden records, the sapphire seal, Baron Vane's surviving documents recovered from Cedric's estates, and Baroness Elara's dying confession revealed the truth beyond doubt. Lord Cedric and those who had helped him were stripped of their titles and sentenced. According to the laws of the realm, Maribel learned she truly was Baron Vane's daughter. Though shocked by the revelation, She publicly apologized to Elara for years of quiet cruelty. Elara embraced her. We were both deceived. The queen restored Baron Vane's honor before the entire court. His name, once stained by false accusations, was spoken with gratitude instead. As for the royal succession, the queen made a decision that surprised every noble present. She addressed, "Lara, before the assembled kingdom, you possess royal blood." The hall fell silent, but you were raised as Lady Elara Vane, daughter of a brave man whose greatest wish was not power, but peace. The queen smiled warmly. No crown shall be forced upon you. For the first time in her life, Elara was free to choose her own future. She looked toward Cassian. The Duke stepped forward. "This time," he said softly, "I ask not as a guardian, nor as duty demands." He took her hand. "I ask because I love the woman who stood with courage when an entire court laughed at." Her tears filled Elara's eyes. "I once believed no one would ever truly see me. Saw you the moment I entered the ballroom. I smiled, and I choose you. Your Grace." The wedding at Ravenscar Castle was held in early spring. There were no extravagant displays meant to impress the kingdom. Instead, there was laughter, honest vows, loyal friends, and the memory of those whose sacrifices had made peace possible. Years later, travelers passing through Ravenscar often repeated a story to their children. They spoke of a proud lord who mocked a quiet young woman before the royal court. They spoke of the mysterious duke who chose her when no one else would, but the wisest. Storytellers always ended the tale the same way. True nobility is never measured by beauty, wealth, or applause. It is revealed by courage, kindness, and the quiet strength to remain faithful to the truth when the whole world believes a lie.